go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, December 1st, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, which is above $38,000, the altcoin market, the XRP price chart, and we take a look over there at the United States stock market as it gets set to open in the next 4 minutes, along with taking a look over there at the DXY, or US dollar currency index, which is catching a bounce, along with precious metals like gold or silver to see how those are doing, especially coming off of these monthly closes. Wild closes over there in the Dow and over there in gold yesterday as November closed itself out. We'll take a peek over at those. And of course, we'll check in on any type of financial news that seems important today. We'll just run through it, and then we'll run through any type of crypto news that seems important today. I have already run through the news. There didn't seem to be anything too crazy, but as always, we always run through it. And a lot of times, those are the if you never make it to the point where I go through the news, it's usually where I go on a tangent if something dumb. But we'll eventually get there. As we get ready for the stock market to open today, it is going to open slightly to the downside. You got the NASDAQ down about 0.25%, maybe 0.35%. It's down 56 points. The S&P is down 0.22%, down 10 points, and the Dow is down 23 points, 0.06%. Now, yesterday was pretty nuts because yesterday the S&P closed down. It closed up 17 points, which is 0.38%. The NASDAQ actually closed down 0.25%. But the Dow Jones ripped 520 points, closing up 1.47% yesterday. An absolute ripper over there in the Dow Jones yesterday. So just a wild one. But anyway, as we get ready for the markets to open, a little bit of a mix out there to be mostly red over there in the stock market, but the numbers shouldn't be too big. Losers of the day, funny enough, Tesla down 3% the day after they've started shipping out the Cybertruck. But all right, looking over here at the crypto market. So it gives us a little bit of a feel of what stocks are going to look like when they open in 2 minutes. Bitcoin sitting above $38,000. It got up there a little bit. It got up to like 38,800, 38,900. Took it right back pretty quick, but still kind of sitting here at the top. We just keep seeing this, right? We just keep seeing these new highs get set, and then these pullbacks come into play. But still, it just continues to march on like we've seen over there in 2020. Put out a video yesterday, right? It's so difficult as we get back up into these retracement levels. We're just up, and that's where we're at. It's a lot of different things. We just kind of need to see either this thing just continue to march on like 2020 or give us a break to say something else is different. Otherwise, a month and a week of just continuing to do that, not a whole lot to say about it until we get some type of action to happen over here in Bitcoin. Put out a video yesterday talking a whole lot more about that altcoin market, that sign of strength phase, getting ready for the big move. Typically, when we see these, they can be explosive, they can be exciting, euphoric, fun, good times, everything like that. But usually we do see really big dramatic crashes that come right back after that to throw them back. So that's kind of, I'm always thinking 2 steps ahead. I'm never trying to be caught up in the actual moment. That's typically what retail does. They live in the exact moment of where they're at. I'm always trying to live a couple of steps ahead of time to not be too shocked by things. And I think it's why I stay pretty emotionally controlled, is that I'm kind of always trying to look forward. And sometimes time can take a long time for things to play out, but still it's just having that continued forward-looking outlook. And so I'm very optimistic on a bigger move. One of those things, it's like, okay, well, why is this time any different than what these times have been in the past, regardless of us just looking at like a Wyckoff accumulation schematic or anything like that. But, we can flip over to the bigger time frames in here, and you can just see the underlying strength that has emerged in here that does make these different, right? We're just sitting here super weak, right? And then finally, now we're getting strength really emerging here in this market. That does make this time being at the peak of here different due to just the strength. The seller's gone. The sellers are exhausted. The panic, the fear, the worry, everything. People are slowly creeping back in. So there's definitely more strength in the market. And we've watched this for a long time too. But again, after we're stuck here for several weeks, at least with the altcoin market, I think we're we're wrapping up week number 3 of being stuck in that sign of strength consolidation level. Again, just a reminder of the bigger picture of stuff happening in here. There you go. All good things on the bigger time frames happening in here. So still just waiting on that as we go into the weekend. If we end up leaving the range, I'll check in with you guys. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to a weekend. I posted a video yesterday late in the afternoon. I don't usually like to do that. I know most of you guys like to watch videos in the morning. That's just where the bulk of the viewership of my channel is, releasing videos in the morning. It makes sense, right? Just kind of starting your morning, your mind is fresh, wanting to check out, what's going on in the financial worlds. Not really a huge topic to lay down and go to bed and learn about charts. But yeah, I released it yesterday. It was a long day for me. The last day of the month is always crazy. It feels good to start a fresh new month. And today is the day we're going to set up all of our Christmas decorations. So I'm looking forward to that. But if we have something crazy happen over the weekend and prices do finally get a breakout to happen in here, I'll check in with you guys. But the anticipation would be, hey, it'd still just be normal for this thing to just keep on grinding through here, just as we've been seeing happening over here. So until something changes, we just kind of patiently wait over there. Now with the stock market opening, it looks like the Dow is open down 10 points, right? We're open for 2 minutes now. You got the S&P down 9 points and you have the NASDAQ down 59 points. So a nearly flat opening here for the Dow, down 0.21% for the S&P and 0.39% for the NASDAQ. Winners of the day so far, Coinbase, ARK, and Caterpillar. Losers of the day, Tesla, Google, and Microsoft. Looking over there at precious metals and at the dollar's been catching a bit in here. We saw that there was strength starting to show up in there for the dollar. That higher velocity move, even in crashing structures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, it makes sense that you're going to have some more move back up here in the dollar. Things I'll be looking for in your typical crashing structure, right? Well, getting back up in here, and then still there's another low to come. Everybody will be pointing to the dollar, saying it's the end of the dollar in here, but just be mindful that's probably not the case when it does come down in here. Typically, we roll back up, we have found some support, and then finally one more, and that's where we end up seeing bullish divergences show up here on the indicators underneath, right? So nothing massive in regards to bullish divergences, but you do see slight ones happening here on the 2-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame. You see it on the daily and slightly over there on the daily, right? So you had some bullish divergences emerging in there, but you could see how they're just getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Boom, there's a little bit of a break happening a little bit higher right there. So DXY, again, my thoughts have not been that this DXY is crashing down into new lows. More of just that, this is the thing that's going to be worrying about is, let's go over the stock market. Let's go over to this doozy. The Dow. Crazy. 2023 coming to an end in here, right? So here is December 1st of 2022. This is what all of 2023 has been. Here we go, December 1st of 2023. We're getting higher, and we are now above the August levels. We're above all price ranges that happened back in there. Look at that monthly close there on the Dow. I'm just going to take this off. Look at that monthly banger. Holy cow. What a doozy happening in there, right? So looks going back and taking out that high, getting through those retracement levels, and then going and taking out that high short opens those probabilities higher that this isn't just a retracement, but that it can go into those all-time highs. The big thing, of course, with the all-time highs is remembering we're now, even with yesterday's move of 1.47%, or let's be true with the data here. Let's do this. We are approximately 9% away from a 4.236 extension on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And to know how high we've come, how far we have traveled to get here, we've traveled 455% to get here. And so we are now 9% away from it. Probably getting up in there, a super exciting time. But also likely being this time is different, euphoria, excitement, all that good stuff. And we're gonna have to keep our mind on that. on that. And it's just like, back in October of 2021, being excited about Bitcoin, knowing it was going to go set those new all-time highs. But then at the same time, there was that underlying like doom, being like, we all know this is the top, right? Like this is the end. Just throwing that out there. That was pretty much all of October for me and November. But that's also what it would be like in here. It's like we're heading into excitement. This is where euphoria happens. This is where irrational exuberance happens in here, and people do believe this time is different. And maybe this time we do go up for forever, right? Maybe the Fed does cut in here and things go crazy and they start blowing money into the markets, right? But just keeping that in mind. But either way, to have a monthly candle like that, boy, holy guacamole. Sure starts kind of starts opening up that door a whole lot more. That's for sure. So that's something exciting to see in there. Again, like these taking out these highs, these are the things that Bitcoin has always needed for bigger moves to happen in there. I'm just personally not going to be convinced that this is a new bull run happening in here for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And if it's not a full blown new bull run for the Dow Jones, and it's just kind of something that's just kind of poking its head up above and that's all it's going to get. Does that really mean Bitcoin's going to get the juice it needs to go something irrational, right? Something a whole new cycle right now. That's to be determined. And right now, my thoughts are going to be no, and we'd have to see things change before that would happen. But either way, wicked, insane closing over there for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, the thing that's interesting about that. You also got the highest close of all time for gold. So all of those things, when you look at bull runs, right, is this going to be something weird where we're going to see one fake a new high and it's not really going to do it? We've gone through the data. And this is, again, like I try to present these things and show these are not my opinions. This is not blockchain backer said. This is data, right? We overlay the charts. We show them. We show that correlation of Bitcoin to the equity markets. We show that correlation of, or that inverse correlation of equity markets to gold. And those are all just unequivocal evidence. Those are not opinion pieces, right? So what we have not seen ever in history has been Bitcoin go on a bull run without the equity market. It has always been with the equity market. And we have never seen gold go on a bull run with the equity market. It's always one or the other for an actual bull run, right? Will one throw a curveball and a trick? Looks possible. We have the highest close in history for gold, while at the same time, an absolute banger of a monthly candle over there on the Dow. Thing about the Dow, though, is we know it's 9% away from its 4.236 extension. So is this distribution and trickery? That's going to be my guess. But either way, there you go for gold. Crazy. Again, DXY finding a little bit of support happening in there, has shown bullish divergences in there. The thing to be keeping an eye on here is more of a roll back up, and that some supports have likely been found. And if new lows do come, they probably won't be much lower than what we've already seen. All right, Bitcoin, $38,400, green all over the place. Dingasia coin leading the way over 20% over there. Otherwise, just kind of standard 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s over here in the altcoin market. But dude, we'll take a green Friday any day of the week. The big thing, of course, we just need to see instead of just this money just washing all around, right? It's like every other day, red day, green day, red day, green day. Why? We're in a range. We're stuck. We've been there for 3 weeks. We need just a bigger break. And so that's the thing that we'll kind of keep our eyes out for throughout the weekend. Otherwise, heading into the weekend, as we wrapped up November, a stunner of a month over there in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, a stunner of a month, back-to-back months over there in gold. Gold wiped back the last 7 months of price action, 8 months of price action in its last 2 months, and the Dow wiped back the last 3 months in one big banger of a candle in there. Now it's time for Bitcoin to give us a bigger move, and we just keep twiddling our thumbs, waiting for that to get its way out. But the thing is, that's just what's expected. That's how they end up going in there. that you get stuck in those things, waiting for them to finally end up emerging. And right, you can just even see from a what do we call this? A ratio perspective, I guess you'd call that ratio, just the amount of time the Wyckoff has taken to play out in here. Well, the amount of time we have spent in sign of strength is not out of line, right? And so we're just kind of stuck here waiting for that thing to go. But should be exciting, like I showed earlier if you missed it, right? Understanding that this time we have all that strength. We have that rampaging stuff. And this is what people didn't pay attention to at the bottom when it came to Bitcoin, that we had all of that going on. And like when you look over things that like grayscale, right? Like that happened. Like look at how much has happened in here, and just people missed it. That's what's normal to happen. And so what I've always talked about is that retail investors always pile back in at the retracement levels. Right, they always are down. They always bail out. They always buy the tops, and then they always bail out at the bottoms, and then they'll come back in at the retracement levels. And just like for your visual sake of it, to see that like the amount of it that has been missed at this point, the majority of this move, right, and just getting into retracement levels in here. That's all that's left, right? The majority of the move has been missed, and I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyway, what hasn't been missed yet is this guy, right? But what I was going at was with indicators and stuff like that too, right? Just that we were already turning up, we were already pulling our way out of there, and people didn't realize it and waited until it was too late. We already had all these things happening in here. For Bitcoin and for GBTC and all that stuff, and this one hasn't gone yet, right? This one hasn't been missed yet, but it's the same thing. So, yeah, exciting. The patience game continues, but I figure it's always good to at least take a look at the bigger time frame stuff underneath the hood to show we're very, very strong on big time frames in here for the altcoin market. Okay, there we go. Okay. End of the month, what do? I do lots of different content and stuff on the side, and then I put this one out. I put out a newsletter yesterday, and I realized a big error that I made in this thing. There's nothing wrong with any of it. The title. The title sucks. Inflation and Cryptocurrency Returns, a comprehensive study uncovering past sweet spots for inflation rates and their influence on all-time highs. Anybody just looking at that would think, I don't care about CPI. Yeah, we know inflation's high. I pay more for chicken at the grocery store, dude. It doesn't do a good enough job saying, hey, we're talking about cryptos. We're talking about crypto circulating supply rates, right? Circulating supply. I may rewrite the title on this thing, because I think that it gives a misconception. We're talking about inflation, like CPI, and like, the Fed's inflation targets, which is definitely not what this is about. This is all about the inflation rates of particular coins, right? So like Bitcoin has a 1.75% in annual inflation rate, right? Ethereum has a negative 1.75% annual inflation rate. And then there's everything in between from, 5%, 2%, 15%, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 100% inflation rate, and how these things impact these charts, and what those impacts were on, bull runs like back in 2021. So I think I need to rewrite that title, but for anybody who's curious, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the inflationary rates of actual crypto assets, not about what you're paying for chicken and what you're paying for gasoline. We're talking about cryptos and studying like the top 100, looking at each individual inflation rate of those and their circulating supplies and how that impacted it. So that was released yesterday. Expect to see that title change. I was looking at it 30 minutes ago before I went live, and I'm like, wait a minute, this title blows. Otherwise, check out bcbacker.com. Of course, over 40 videos here, over 11 hours of content, deep diving into the historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market and teaching you how to set up your own charts in here. Wyckoff accumulation, the thing we keep talking about, all the different phases of it happening in here. And that this is even, where are we? Where are you? the phases of Wyckoff distribution that we're talking about over here in the Dow and that we talk about over here in the NDXT. This is perfect. Wyckoff distribution phase is in here to go on and set a new high. But if you want to learn about that stuff, I deep dive into that in here, along with Elliot wave theory and the historical behavior of the crypto market with downloadable PDFs in here. Moving on though, talking about like Elliot wave theory, looking at XRP, things we've talked about. I'm not going to go too depth into this, but things we've talked about. A contracting triangle, right? For XRP happening in here, and the thing we would really be waiting for is just wave E. And I don't know if it's like super clear to have wave E in here. So essentially what you have is A, B, C, D, E. And you'd put question marks here for D and E being completed at this point. But the way a contracting triangle Elliott wave works is that it's followed by a series of ABCs, which we would actually technically be calling WXYs. WXY, WXY, WXY. And then now the question, was that ABC? And so E, so the final wave, the final E wave of a contracting triangle is not going to be like your typical ABCs that you see everywhere, like A, B, C, right? Where we come back into the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. And then we go on and do the C leg, right? That's not what we're typically going to see because we have all these ABCs, 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 ABCs. This one is going to be the flat. So this is going to be like the contracting triangle running flat, which is going to be what you guys know too as crash, retrace, reaccumulation, break, which is what this whole thing is, right? So it's kind of like you get the whole thing in here, and that's what your typical wave E is going to be. And the question is that what this is, right? A, B, C. And if that has already started in here, right, that this is A, B, C for wave E. The problem with it is you would think it would have gotten higher, right? You would think you would have gotten to the peak of the contracting triangle, which is where you should. The depth of wave E is typically not very long either. It's typically pretty shallow. So A, B, C, D, E, right? It's like that's it, right in there, right? So we're typically going to get back up there, and it's usually pretty shallow. And this one's like ridiculously shallow in here. But that's the definition of them too, is that they are shallow. You get back to the peak, and then you have kind of a shallow, flat correction happening in here. And I just don't know if we've had that yet over there on XRP. Did I lose the chart? Where are you? I guess you were here. So still waiting on that. And that would make sense too. That would make sense that you have, that's what you're going to get. Then you're going to have your E, right? And that would take place, right? Potentially in here, right? That we have the contract. So if you guys didn't watch yesterday's video, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But that you would have this big crash and you have a contracting triangle in here, and then you go. That would also align with the bigger picture stuff that we've talked over there about XRP. That all the wave counts in there, looking for that final wave E, that it would be a contracting triangle, and that would also align with total 3. So anyway, random thought. I don't know why I elaborated on it today. It probably could have been put in a video in a better format. But for those who watch all the content, you probably reflect on that. Okay. Dude, happy Friday. I'm just so happy it's Friday. It's been such a long week. And you know what's weird about this week, too, is getting back from the holiday. You guys know it's very, very rare for me to have 4 days off in a row. I could definitely sincerely say that has not happened 5 times in the over 4 years that I have been making YouTube content where I've taken 4 days off in a row. That has definitely not happened 5 times. I would be very surprised to hear it's happened 3 times where I've gone 4 days with no content. I would be shocked. It was weird getting back into the groove at the beginning of the week. It was weird. And I think it was because prices just also stayed so stagnant at the exact same time. And we're still here at the end of the week. So, a pretty tame week. Nice to see Bitcoin above 38,000. Nice to see the Dow Jones have that huge close. Weird to see gold doing it at the exact same time. But otherwise, we still just continued that grind in Bitcoin. And the altcoin market, it still just looks like a totally normal sign of strength phase happening in here, waiting for the big explosion. And so I kind of put yesterday's video out because, like, I know emotions of this market. I've been here long enough to know what it is. Right now, there is optimism in the market, but there's not euphoria. And we haven't seen euphoria in over 2 years in this market, right? We haven't seen euphoria in over 2 years. And sometimes we forget what euphoria feels like. And when it comes back, it's going to come back wild. And I don't forget what it's like. The bear people who say, all right, that's it, we're probably going to crash from here. You have to realize that it's like losing trust, right? It's like, yeah, but people said that the whole last year and a half and it never happened, right? So now it's going to happen, but people said that all the last year and a half. It's not going to happen. And so anybody who's bearish will be chastised because bears have been wrong for a year and a half. People hedge calling themselves of lower prices. They've all been wrong. So when we have irrational exuberance, if you I've been here before, man. I've been here. When I say I'm taking stuff off the table, just get ready. My name will get smeared in the mud. These guys do it. It's a dirty world of content creation of people that do this stuff. Just get prepared for that. But it'll be euphoria. It'll be excitement. And be taking stuff off the table during that moment, waiting for that moment to return, and then likely jamming it all back in. But then, of course, the big eye will be on making sure Bitcoin holds that level. And as long as Bitcoin holds that level of $30,000 to $32,000, LFG, let's go. Because then we'd be setting ourselves up for that bigger breakout, that this was a completed crashing structure, just like we have shown many, many times. And I even used XRP in that example, that when you do this, typically even from here, your 4.236 extension will come off of that one right there. So, you could be looking at altcoin market cap, total 3 even, and like near 2 trillion in that type of circumstance. So just the thing is, of course, we all want that to happen right now. It would just mean that, there's one real exciting wave, but then it's going to chill out. And then, the bigger exciting wave would come later. And that's my thoughts. I think there's a good chance at it. I guess it just really kind of depends a lot on how the stock market holds itself together. And then that opinion would change very, very rapidly in the event that Bitcoin lost 30,000. And I think I've beaten that like a dead horse pretty good. You lose $30,000 for Bitcoin, you start closing candles in the 29s, 28s, and 27s. Yuck, 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 yuck. So either way, trying to find things to talk about as we still work our way here for Bitcoin and as we still sit in our sign of strength phase. But I guess that's when you have the opportunity to look forward to how you have the opportunity to research all the altcoins and build a better fundamental belief system in here and conviction. So that's what I've been spending it doing as we have been stuck. But on that note, guys, let's get ready for Friday, man. I hope that you guys are have planned. Hopefully you guys are setting up your holiday stuff. Hopefully you guys celebrate the holidays, right? For me, there's no better time of the year than December. No better time. So, okay, let's jump into the chat, guys. We're 28 minutes into this thing. James, before the stream even started, James with the super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, I just wanted to show some love. Thank you so much. Man, that's amazing. Thank you, James. I appreciate it, man. Chris M says, I can't wait for the bull market to start at the top. It's like somebody saying, it's like how, with everybody like hedges what they say the whole way up, but now all the analysts are saying, yeah, this market is very bullish now. It's like, well, wait a minute. Look at this. The market has been bullish, sir or ma'am. It has been bullish. It is not bullish now. It has been. And you wait till we get overbought on the weekly time frame to say, yeah, this market is very bullish. You missed it. Now we're in the concerning zones. All right, I'm moving on. Moving on. We need this market to do something. we need to get rid of spicy backer while this just keeps happening and give us a bigger break. Give us something. XRP bullish. Thank you very much, XRP bullish. I appreciate it, man. And thank you, Chris. XRP bullish, very generous. Thank you, BCB, the man, the myth, the legend. Just kind words, man, and very generous. Thank you very much, XRP bullish. Hot Tub Brian, what's up, man? Says Congress banning themselves at the 4.236 extension is the sign, right? It's sure great we have such ethical representatives. Right, so that, of course, would be the ultimate signal, right? Let's run through exactly how that happened again for the S&P and for the when the Federal Reserve did that. I think this is important. And again, talking about this so much because it is unquestionable. The general public does believe Congress should not be allowed to day trade stocks. I believe that. Everybody believes that. These guys have inside information. They go in getting these $200,000 a year salaries into Congress, walk out double-digit millionaires. Why? How? Right? We all know they are doing insider trading. So everybody is on the page that they should be banned from participating in any type of trading of stocks while they are public servants, right? We're all on that same page. So that's why, like, when they do it, it would blindside the general public as, like, that's a signal or a sign, because they will actually be crediting Congress as doing something good for once. Hey, you're doing something right. But they timed it. Right. And what they're doing is they're making it so that on paper, when they sell everything, it doesn't look like they are front running the markets or insider trading the market and selling everything. It just looks like they're doing something ethical. But what they're really doing is they're selling the full extension levels of the market. And we saw that actually happen over there for the Fed. So the Fed did that too. Let's go see what day the Fed banned themselves. Fed bans themselves from owning stocks. Put it on a daily. I want to get the date and see if I can find a tweet. Okay. Reuters. Fed bans stock trading and restricts other activities on, you see it, October 21st. Ladies and gentlemen, that is when the Fed banned themselves from owning stocks, right? They then gave themselves like 90 days to unload their stuff. Oh, that's nice pricing for those 90 days. You know the story. If Congress does the exact same thing, are you not going to run for the dang hills? Right? Right. And then you have to think too, like, right, like these guys, they have incentives to spend money. They have incentives to run up the deficit. They have incentives to run the stock market up because they're all in it, right? What happens when they're not in it? Will there then be that bias of Congress members to care about running the stock market up if they're sitting in cash? Or are they going to care about doing things to protect the dollar and make the dollar stronger, right? Or rise interest rates. Since they're not allowed to be in the stock market, they can buy treasuries. So hey, let's rise interest rates. Let's make treasuries more expensive and f the stock market, right? But we watched that, right? And they gave themselves like 60 to 90 days to be able to unload their stocks. They banned themselves at the literal 4.236 extension. They say you have 60 days to unload your stocks. And then what do you know? Literally, practically, oh no, was it October, right? November, December, January. About 90 days later, boom, the crash ensues. So if Congress does do it, the general public will be blindsided by it. They will think it's the right thing to do. We all think it's the right thing to do. The problem is they're choosing these very particular places to go and do it at. And that's what just makes it so utterly disgusting and just proves it is even more insider trading if they do ban themselves from doing it at just the right time. So if Congress bans themselves from owning stocks, it's actually the slimiest, dirtiest insider trading you've ever seen, but it'll be marketed and celebrated by the general public as the greatest thing that they've ever done. If you know what I mean. Follow my drift. All right. Exceed. Thank you, Hot Tub Brian. Exceed says, "Hey BCB, if I ever meet you, expect a big man hug. I'll pat your back so it's not too awkward." Okay, when we hug, we have to do that. Good to see you, buddy. So it's not too awkward. You helped me a lot, bro. There used to be a 3-to-1 ratio with Stellar limits to XRP, but XLM lost it. And any thoughts on XLM being undervalued? XLM is just a weird one, right? So let me check the inflation rate on Stellar. Hold on one second. No, not the inflation rate. What did I want? I wanted to see percentage drawdown. Okay, very good. 91%. So Stellar checks a lot of the check marks, right? But there's other things, right? So Stellar checks a lot of the check marks in regards to percentage drawdowns, in regards to inflation rate, in regards to development activity. It hits all of them, right? I've even said that in my next newsletter, that what we're going to do is we're going to be taking all this information, the circulating supply, inflation of each coin. We're going to be taking in development data, and we're going to be taking in percentage drawdowns. And then we're going to say what would have been in an ideal portfolio and what would that be in today's terms, right? I already know in that new one, just because Stellar hits every single check mark, I already know it's going to be in there. And doesn't guarantee it's going to be the one to do anything magical, but it checks every single check mark. Inflation rate, percentage drawdown, development activity. The only thing that's weird about Stellar Lumens is just how tied that price is to the XRP price chart. It is so bizarre, right? And, I've heard people say, trading bots, algorithms, everything. They just gone ahead and tied them together, right? True, but it's so much capital that moves, right? It's like $1 billion that will move. If XRP moves. So it's not like a couple of degens who are just doing it. There's somebody with huge amounts of money who for some reason ties that price chart to XRP. And that's the only thing that's just weird to me. It's the only thing that's weird. Now with Stellar Lumens, again, I'm so glad I went to Consensus in 2023. I'll probably end up going again in 2024. But Stellar Lumens, they were the center of everything at Consensus 2023, right? I think there's different levels and tiers of sponsorships that you can do there. And so everybody who had their own booth, they're a sponsor, but lower tier. But then, there's the bigger booths that were Filecoin or Near Protocol or Neo, or Ripple. But then the super mega big one, the biggest one of all was Stellar. Stellar had the big center area, the lounge area. It was the biggest, most massive one of them all was Stellar. So, and I'm not too rehearsed on everything that Stellar does or what their, legitimate use case is or anything like that. But when it comes to just marketing, they've got it. When it comes to developer activity, they've got it. And when it comes to inflation rate, they've got it. And when it comes to percentage drawdowns during a bear, they've got it. So they've got all the check marks. Just, the big weird thing about Stellar, I think we all know, and it's just weird, is why the price is so like to the second tied to XRP. That's bizarre. No other coins are like that, but Stellar Lumens. It's bizarre. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope that answered your question, and I look forward to that big bear hug with a pat on the back. Thank you, Exceed. Mike, thank you very much. Super chat, no message. Appreciate it, brother. And my man Oscar Hernandez arrives. Oscar, the most famous man of markets in the morning, more than me. I'm just the guy who yaps on the microphone, but Oscar's here every day too. Thank you, Oscar. Mike, what do you think is more likely? XRP leads the altcoin run or ends it? I couldn't even put a statistical probability on it. I have no clue what the order of operations will be. We've definitely seen it to where it's last. We've definitely seen it where it's not last. Like if you think about 2021, when did XRP end? It ended on April 14th, the day Bitcoin did, right? Otherwise, we had that fall. We had the 702 retracement happen for Bitcoin. We have Elon Musk go on Saturday Night Live, and a lot of the altcoin market rips into that moment, right? Let's do this. What chart do I want to use? We'll use this one. Dow Jones up another 76 points. Okay. So we'll go back here fast, really quick. Here's Bitcoin's top in 2017. Here it is going into its 702 retracement right in here, right? Let's do this. We'll add a total 2. Now, notice total 2, right? So here's the peak of Bitcoin. It crashes, and then the altcoin market rips into the beginning of the crash, does not crash nearly what Bitcoin does, and then rips even more into the retracement. Just an absolute stunner of a banger of a move here going into the retracement level here for Bitcoin. Now let's look at XRP. Notice XRP does the same thing. It goes right in here into the retracement level, skyrocketing, and that's it too. So here's the top of Bitcoin. We're still down here. Boom, we go soaring up here into the retracement levels, right? So again, looking at that once more, Bitcoin goes into that little 702 retracement. It's not little. It goes into that 702 retracement. Altcoin market goes and soars into that. XRP soars into that, right? XRP being one of the last ones, because what do you have also happening through all this? You have Litecoin going. You have Ethereum going. They're all going. They're not waiting here till the very end to do anything like XRP did. But then we can move over here to 2021, right? And so here we have it again. There is a 702 Fibonacci retracement that comes in right in here, right? There you go. We have peak euphoria, peak excitement. There's a 702 retracement. There's Elon Musk going on to Saturday Night Live. Here's the altcoin market. What's it doing? Right? Here's the bigger crash from Bitcoin. Notice we don't get that from the altcoin market. The altcoin market steps up higher, whereas Bitcoin's move is pretty pathetic. Bitcoin has a big fall down, setting a lower low, whereas the altcoin market doesn't. And then the altcoin market still continues to rip into the 702 retracement in here while this is all happening, right? So roar, roar, roar. Right? What did XRP do during that time? XRP roared into that moment. Right? We know that. That's where XRP roared into right in there, right? So that's an example of XRP being last. Where did XRP roar and end? Over here. At the peak of Bitcoin. Far different, right? So to say, right? See? At the actual peak. So to say that, to pick the order of operations in which they will go, you didn't have that order happening in here. You had a lot of the altcoin market still roaring in here, and XRP had actually completed early. But we've definitely seen many times, where XRP is last. And so, I don't put all my eggs in one basket. A lot of people do. And that always leads to people getting super frustrated, man, if you have all your eggs just in one basket. It's your choice, your prerogative. It's the only one with legal clarity. Do whatever you want to do. But, then there's so many forms of capitulation that I talk about. There's price capitulation, time capitulation, right? So 2022 can be denoted as price capitulation. 2023 can be denoted as time capitulation, but then comes the jealousy capitulation. And that's where you're looking around at other aspects of the market, and then people go to Twitter and say, I'm so sick of XRP. I've been holding this for this long and it's not doing nothing. Meanwhile, this coin is like this. That's jealousy. And it's just a lack of doing any type of diversification, because there's really just any meaningful diversification. It prevents a lot of that. That's why we're talking about all this stuff, man, to try to figure that crud out. But, will it be last? Will it be first? I have no clue. But I've definitely seen it be last. And I've definitely seen it be very painful of being last. And I brought that example up. If you think any of this is bad, the worst was 2017. Right here. This. To understand that, right? XRP peaks here in May of 2017 when Bitcoin is $1,800. Okay. It peaks over here in May of 2017, $1,800. Bitcoin goes on the entire 2017 bull run, and Bitcoin is all the way up to here, up to $16,500. 1,800, 16,500. XRP is down 50% from its May high. If you have come into this asset to think something like this cannot happen again, sorry, it has, man. So it's possible. It's always possible. Right? And I'm not picking on you, Mike. It's just I know this community gets very excited, and then this community gets very pessimistic on Twitter. And to understand that, like, if you think if this is not possible for you, if you would lose your mind, Bitcoin running 10x and XRP down 50%. It happens, man. It happens. But what eventually happens, right? It ends up going, 2021 is a rough one, because that's where we get, the SEC. And like, as it's December 1st today, I was like, as I get ready I make my breakfast before I come on to the live stream, I just make a shake, and I'm making it this morning. I'm thinking to myself, it's December. I'm like, XRP is listed on Coinbase, it's listed on all exchanges and everything like that. And like remembering December of 2020 and how dark of a time that was, man, and how rough that was. And what people don't know, like, if you weren't here in that, what made it even worse was that Bitcoin was breaking into a new all-time high after a 3-year bear market, and the altcoin market started to rip. And the SEC, without question, chose their timing of when they did what they did. And so it was not only very hurtful for XRP holders, but it was even more hurtful because of the timing in which they chose to do it. They chose to do it during the most exciting time of the market. And after waiting 3 years for a new bull run to kick in, 5 days after Bitcoin broke into the all-time high, they took their attack. So it's reflecting, and I guess part of it being just kind of grateful of where we are at right now. Here we are 3 years later. Who would have ever thought 3 years later XRP has been ruled in the courts to not be a security? It's listed on all exchanges. Like, that was a wild ride, and I won't forget. I won't forget that moment for sure. Brutal, but I'm glad to be at the other end. But either way, yeah. I don't have a thought. Like, your question is, do you think? Right? Which do you think is more likely? I literally don't have an opinion or a way to know, man. I can show you the examples of how it can be really late, and then I showed you the example of where it topped at the same time as Bitcoin right here, right? So here it is topping into the retracement. Here it is topping into the top of Bitcoin. Was that an SEC related thing? I don't know, but it did, right? It topped there. So, whatever. John Lively, is it too late for the frog or animated BCB Christmas ornament? Ooh. I don't know if they have ornaments. By the way, I went onto the store. I bought like $350 worth of coffee mugs on the BCB merch store, which I don't ever show you guys, but I better show it to you now, because if you're going to get this stuff before Christmas and give it to all of your family, I should put the leggings up, and just let you all know, the leggings are totally see-through, but right, they're not for public, right? They're for at-home enjoyment. Just tell your wife that. And if there's enough people who want them, I'll put them back up. Either way, we have a pair around the house here. There it is, the merch store. Get all your goodies and get your orders in quickly before Christmas and the holiday season kicks in. All of your favorite frogs, XRP logos, 702s, and blockchain backer stuff. Coffee mugs, tumblers, sweaters, baby stuff. You have to have stuff for the babies, dog clothes, and your coffee mugs, right? We got the coffee mugs. I've got the tumbler. I've got t-shirts. We've got that cutoff sweater. They got that sweater. I think my wife has that. I guess it's it. T-shirts. We've got t-shirts, tumblers, coffee mugs, and sweaters is what we have. And then I bought at Thanksgiving, people came over and you eat a bunch of pie and a bunch of turkey and you get all sleepy. So everybody made coffee late in the day, and multiple people were walking around with their blockchain backer coffee mugs, and they were like, I want this for Christmas. And so I was like, okay, perfect. And don't you forget it. Your wife wants that too. Your wife is like, oh, great. You got me a coffee mug of the guy who goes, hey. Honey, yes, he's amazing. All right. Okay. Oh, I should put a link. Did I put a link in the chat? I don't know if I did. There it is. And there's a link in the description of the live stream. There you go. I don't make very much money off those. Those are marked at pretty much as low as the margins are real tight. I always I don't personally wear clothes that have other people's logos on it. I don't wear Adidas clothes or Nike stuff because I'm not a walking brand. I'm not going to pay $50 for your t-shirt so I can wear a Nike logo and people think, oh, dang, he must have money. He buys Nike. I'm not a walking billboard. I always thought, if you're going to sell something with your brand, make it as low as you can. And that way they are walking around, showing off your stuff. So those are not, those do not pay the bills. Those are just to put them in your hands. So if you want them, grab them. Hey, BCB. Oh, wait, I think I missed one. I missed 2 and 3. I missed a bunch. I got to go back up. Okay, I got Oscar gifting the membership. I got Mike, John. I don't know. I'll have my wife look and see if we can make ornaments. That would be sweet. JJ Jacob says, how much % will you sell in order to buy back lower? Probably at least 50%. Oscar Hernandez. See, 50% so I've talked about that for a long time, right? If the market rips to the upside and it just plows into all-time highs and all I have is 50% in the market, I'm fine with that, guys, right? So everybody's position is different than mine. I have no clue what your circumstances are. I don't know if you have $20 in there or if you did what Michael Saylor told you to do and you leveraged your house to put money into the market. I have no clue what any of your positions are. I don't know how desperate any of you are, what any of that kind of stuff. So you got to do whatever is right for you. Following what I'm going to do, right? I always just try to communicate my thoughts. Being here for years, I don't day trade often, right? Guys, you don't see it. People are like, oh, why didn't you catch that 10% drop? Well, because I don't have the energy to do that, man. I go for bigger moves, longer moves, and like that's what all of 2020 was, right? Exit plans, looking for Bitcoin to get into the 60Ks and stuff like that. So this has always been part of my plan, right? Sell what I can at the peak, and if we hit 4.236 extensions, if not, and we see Bitcoin fall, then we go see Bitcoin go back into retracement levels, and just whatever the market's doing at that, it's time for me to take some out. And not only that, like I blew a lot of money into this market during FTX in the first part of 2023. A lot. And some of that's got to come out, right? It's got to come out because of the uncertainty of everything out in there. But still, like if this market plows to the upside, I'm not going to cry that I only have 50% left in this market. I'm going to be completely fine. Just because of the sheer amount and the amount of time I've been in the market. I've been in the market for a long time. Been in it since, first half of 2017. I went through the whole 2018 bear market. I was buying Cardano at 1 cent. I was buying, or 2 cents. I was buying Ethereum at $100, right? Like buying XRP at 13 cents. Sheer time in the market. And even if I sold half of my portfolio, I just, the 99% of these reply boys couldn't compete with me. You know what I mean? Like, but either way, for me, yeah, it's like 50%. Oscar Hernandez, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to the awesome newsletter. And then he links the newsletter. Dude, Oscar, you are my hero. I have met Oscar and we have I've eaten dinner with Oscar and we exchanged hats with each other. He made me a nice 702 crew hat. And it's not just for me. He gave it to several people, but I'm part of the crew. I have the hat. My wife also has a hat. And I swapped Oscar one of my hats, my XRP hats. But Oscar's here every day. I always appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, man. George Alexanderopoulos gifts 5 BCB memberships. Man, thank you very much, George. Taylor W. Appreciate it, brother. Taylor W. says, morning BCB, can you compare a Wyckoff accumulation diagram to the link in the ADA chart? I'm assuming the link is past the sign of strength and subsequent break up. But ADA looks like it's forming sign of strength. Am I looking at this correctly? Appreciate you. Taylor, you've nailed it, buddy. I agree with both of them. Taylor, I do assume that is a male's name, but that actually can be a female's name. We all know the legendary Taylor Swift. But Taylor, yeah. So I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to get 95% of my audience is male. So I'm taking, as again, playing the odds, I'm going to go with it. Thanks, bud. Yeah, I agree with you entirely, right? So I even posted about those charts on Twitter months ago. So like if you know how to do a Twitter advanced search, or if you don't, what you can do if you have Twitter on your phone, go to my profile on Twitter at BC Backer. Up on the top right corner, you're going to see like a magnifying glass or a search, just like a search thing. You know what I'm talking about? Click that and just type in the word link, and it will pull up a thread. It will pull up my whole Wyckoff accumulation thread that I've done, where we talked about a lot of stuff. And I believe even ADA is in there. But yeah, I totally agree with you that, right? Like this was Wyckoff accumulation, right? This was the sign of strength, right? Getting it out, whether the whole thing is sign of strength or just this part right in here. But this is what? This was our spring, right? And so we escaped, right? And so typically in these circumstances, whether this has to go a little higher first, typically what we're going to do is we're going to at least come back down here at some point. Part of me wants to sell all of my link knowing that, but I can't because out of all the assets that I think like have a shot at something much bigger, Link is in that category of I think having a big shot. But I did have to sell half of it, right? I just had to. But if it came back down in here, for me personally, I'll have no problem scooping more of it up. And I'm actually hoping for that opportunity to get that. As for ADA, right? Agreed, right? That's where we're at. We're in that kind of sign of strength phase happening right in here of Wyckoff to try to get its way out. The thing with ADA, it's going to be the same story for me, like we're talking about with a lot of this market, right? ADA could get a big rip, man. It could get back up into the 90s, but then being like, watch out to then go on and lose significant amount, right? A 60% crash. Those are totally normal. We see those in bull markets all the time. 60% crashes in altcoins all the time. Go look at 2021 on whatever asset it is that you love. Let's go look at Link. Link had a banger, right? Link crushed it during 2020 and 2021. Look at this bull run. Look at the percentage of this thing when the market bottomed. Like Link bottomed before the market bottomed in 2018, and Link goes on this big run of 32,000%. But what happens along the way for Link? Like the whole way, you think that journey was easy. It was very hard. Look at this one. Negative 67%. Negative 71%. Negative 48. Look at this one. Gets all the way back up to the all-time high. Let's go. Just kidding. All the way back down to the low. Negative 70%. Then let's go. Right? And then you end up having negative 63%. Then we end up having negative 40. What is this one? Negative 40. So just kind of keeping that in mind, like talking about things like that, even like 46% crashes happening along the way. They're normal. They happen. Go find any of your favorite assets out there on those things, and they'll do that. And I know that's not your question. Your question is whether or not you think, do I see the same thing for Link? I would definitely search through my Twitter to see my discussions on pointing to all of the spring phases and all of these assets, and Link was one of them. And I do believe Cardano was included in there as well, that was spring. So that would make this the sign of strength phase happening right in here, and that it's likely that we do come back down in here at some point for Link. For me, that will be a grab opportunity that I'll be adding more to my bag. Hopefully, unless, of course, right, if you see Bitcoin going and crashing, crumbling below $30,000, then I may change my mind on that. But as for ADA, right, that's the discussion. And like the interesting thing about ADA as well has just been that we've seen these style corrections happen before. We've seen them happen right on the money, exactly like this. This is not modified for percentages. This is exactly the same. What was real interesting about this too was also the actual size of the bull run that happened in here. You could start this one right in here. This has not been modified. Look at it, and then look how high we end up going, right? Nearly identicals. We're talking just a couple of pennies here in difference, and we're talking about this thing starting. Look how close this is. 4,000%, and they land nearly identical on each other. And then look at the corrections that come down in here where they come back down to. Why is it so interesting to have a blueprint that is just like this? And it's, well, because the fractal that we're using here is actually Ethereum Classic. Maybe thinking to yourself, Ethereum Classic, that dingus coin. Yeah, well, that dingus coin did pretty well in 2021. But the thing about Ethereum Classic is it's the original Ethereum. And Charles Hoskinson had a lot of ties with the Ethereum Classic group. And it's just very interesting of being like, are they running the same market makers on Ethereum Classic as they are on Cardano? I don't know, but maybe. What you can just, even if you want to use a blueprint like this and say, well, what happens when things run up 4,000%, then they crash 90%? What's the typical price behavior that happens in there? And that is we head back to where the same places we keep talking about in here is that we head back over to where April of 2022, April and May, pre-Luna collapse, right? It's where we got Bitcoin at right now. It's where we've seen a lot of altcoins struggle at, is that April level, right? And that's also just happens to be where this would take us to. So my thoughts would be, and that's the thing we saw with Chainlink. That's where Chainlink is stalling out, right? Chainlink is stalling where? Get off the screen. We don't need any of you. It's stalling April of 2022. Right? That's the level that we're at. So I would not find it unusual that we go back to April of 2022 as our price behavior should. Like even if we just didn't even use the fractals and we said where seems to be a logical place, April of 2022, then being mindful that where do you usually pull down to? You're usually going to pull right back down into these areas, right? You're going to pull back down into here. And, our fractal in here takes us all the way back down to the lows. This would be your C19 sell-off. That just seems like it would be unlikely to me. I would think this is the support level, but this is like exactly what Wyckoff looks like. And this is usually the place we come back to. So that means we have a long ways to go, but then eventually we come back here at some point. But I see the same thing. Wyckoff, sign of strength phase happening in here. However, with Chainlink, we already got way past it, right? So we've already seen that move already happen for Chainlink. Okay. That was a long answer. Taylor, thank you. Riaz, hey Ratifer. What am I doing? Hey Ratifer. Riaz, thank you. Good morning, BCB. So XRP is more likely to take off when Bitcoin 50%, 60% downturn is completed. I'm just producing the theses, right? So that is a when moon question, right? I don't know when moon, man. What I could imagine being possible is that in a move for the altcoin market where, it shoots to the upside, maybe XRP does go on some massive explosion and it's the one that's taking up the whole market cap. Maybe that happens. It's the only one with legal clarity. But if I was to assume something different and not assume that XRP is going to go add $100 billion to its market cap while the rest of the market just sits still, right? Because that's kind of what that would need. But if it was just going to move with the rest of the market, it would seem logical that XRP is going to move into that, completing that wave D, pushing it higher to like $1.20, $1.50, and then going into wave E, which is a contracting triangle and lasting longer until finally a bigger explosion could end up happening in there. But I don't know, right? I'm just theorizing like the rest of you. XRP has been, we all know it, a thorn in everybody's side. It just doesn't want to go with the market. It just can't get its lift off yet. And what is it waiting for? It's waiting for a sign from the rest of the market. So the rest of the market has to give it a sign. I'm sorry to all the people who buy the Ripple IPO nonsense and you're out there clicking affiliate links because that's what you're being told to do. And that you're being told there's a secret switch that's going to happen out there. It's not true. It is totally tied to the rest of the market. So we just need to see big price action come in the rest of the market. And then that's when we can end up seeing likely big price action over there in XRP, because that is what the last decade of price action for XRP has done. And so we just have to see this whole market get really ramped up. And then at that point, we'll be like, all right, well, let's see what it's going to do. Are we just going to go back up and continue the contracting triangle and then move into wave E? Or is it breaking out into the real deal? But how you theorize it is just as good as mine. I'm theorizing. Joseph Wiley, hey BCB, is your time machine a car, a phone booth, or a hot tub? I can't come up with anything clever. I want to say like a day spa, relaxing, but stupid. I don't know. I'll keep it my secret, or else you all will figure it out. Joseph, thanks, Joseph. And then we got Joseph Woodard right afterwards, member for 5 months. Hey, BCB, thank you for always being real with us. If the Dow Jones does break into all-time high, will you start to change your mind regarding just a retrace for Bitcoin? No. Unless, if they happen at the same time, right? Then like, okay, that is what it is. They broke out together. I'm very concerned about the Dow Jones and the 4.236 extension, right? We'd have to see the Dow Jones like plowing through that thing and just saying, screw this, we're gone. Then yeah. But I don't see it. Like we have the underlying economic data of a lot of stuff, not great, but me, I paid more attention to the charts. The things that the Dow has done are literally identical to what does happen at peaks, right? From wave counts to everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the double tap on top of the all-time high, the breakout, back test, bull flag V bottom out, and then exceeding the 3.618 extension, rolling over, and then having a bear divergence to go on and hit that all-time high. Let's take a look at this thing and see if we have anything. Look at how high we are right now, and just what the strength indicators look like in here, right? You would think, right, where we are, right, we're way up here, right? Like you would think we'd be exhibiting higher strength than that, but we're not. And so that'll be the thing to keep an eye on is how are we reacting up in here. And I just don't want to pull up the Bitcoin price charts. You guys have seen it 100,000 times. The market caps, right? This is exactly how they happened for the peak of the cryptocurrency market in 2021, rolling over above the 3.618 and then hitting the extensions, and then we went lights out. So going into the all-time highs, right? This is a form of distribution, right? And so it's very, very difficult for people to wrap their head around, hey, we're setting new all-time highs, but it's actually bearish. It's like, no, it's not. It's a bull market. Don't you understand? It's like, no, that's how tops happen, right? Like that's how we come to conclusions. That's how endings happen, right? Like this, right? Just because you get above, it's like, oh, it's a bull market, but it's like, no, it's not, right? We spend all this time working our way back. That's because we're in new all-time highs. It's a bull market, duh. No, it's not. And like that's very normal to happen. And like you see that in lots of corrections for Bitcoin too, just dating back through time. Right? It's like this raging bull market, and then, hey, we're in new all-time highs. It's now a new bull market, but it's not. And so like we automatically think just because a first peak is put in, that automatically means there's no more peaks that can be put in unless that means it's a bull market. But distribution does that. Distribution does that all the time, where the new high will get put in, but it's actually a bear still, right? Very, very common distribution. And as we saw with Bitcoin and as we saw with Ethereum, they occur at 4.236 extensions. So unless if the Dow can plow through the 4.236 extension and show no signs of cooling off, then I'll be in the camp. But just because we're at the 4.236 extension, that's what makes it so difficult to say, yeah. Right? So the young kids will all be screaming that this is a bull market, but it's not, right? So just keeping that in mind for things like the Dow. That's my view on it, right? That's what we're doing. If we even get the whole thing is sketchy, right? Just the whole area, whether here, it's all sketchy just because of how high it in general is. Right? Most people, due to impatience, due to not being able to wait long enough, they won't take any cautions yet. They'll be like, well, there's 9% left. I understand it's up 450 something percent, but there's 9% left, so I'm going to chase the last 9%. And then if they get wrong-footed on it, they're going to like, what? It's like, well, you could have taken a little bit of protection. You could have done a little something. As for me, like you guys already know it, I've got a couple of shorts open on things like Microsoft and Apple. I'm fine with those things getting blown out of the water and completely and utterly destroyed, because then my crypto because my crypto will be rocking, because I don't live in a dumb world where I think that we're not tied to the equity market. We are tied to the equity market. So if the equities are blowing out my shorts, well, that means crypto's blasting to the moon, and I'm doing fine over there. But you know, if crypto's struggling and equities are struggling, then there's both side protection happening in there. And so I don't really own very much stocks. Of my entire net worth, I don't even know at this point if it's even 1% of my net worth in the stock market. I don't even know. Whereas with crypto, it's like it's more than that. It's the not feel good. When you lose lots of money in 1 week, it don't feel good kind of amount. But yeah, So I don't know where I'm going with any of this. I'll move it on. Riaz, hey, Radivar says, you mentioned all markets taking off at Bitcoin 702. Will you be taking 65% off the table on coins and waiting post Bitcoin fall to buy lower again? You mentioned altcoin market taking off at Bitcoin 702. Will you be taking 65% off the table on all coins and waiting post? I'm going to review it when we get there. I've been spending a lot of time reviewing the stuff that I want to make sure I have in my portfolio. So all this research has been in 2023 is to do a better job figuring out what happened in 2021. 1 out of every 5 coins had a sustainable or a substantial run, right? 4 out of 5 did not. The market in 2021 was far different from 2017. Not only were the percentages far different, being a 12x versus 70x of the first alt season in 2017, but even the distribution of where those were different. Only 1 out of every 5 or 2 out of every 10 did anything substantial. So solving that puzzle to figure out, well, what were the qualities that those 2 out of every 10 had? That's been my thoughts, right? And so going through it, it probably will not be, and I do believe it. I do not think it's going to end up being equally going through each one of them and saying 65% gone, 65% gone, 65% gone. There may be some where it's only 20% gone, other ones where it's 100% gone. In any way, getting the whole portfolio down to how much I want out, but it probably will not be equal distributions among each individual coin because I have different. If I'm going to hold 35%, or 40% or 50%, risking, whatever comes next. I want them to be in the ones that I have the most confidence in. I don't need to be sitting here with stuff I'm like, I don't know, or ooh, it doesn't meet all the check marks, right? And so I don't have to cut everything of the stuff that I do like, as long as I just get the whole portfolio in general down to where I want it. And that will likely be some only getting small cuts or no cuts, others getting complete full cuts. But buying lower would only be in the event that Bitcoin does pull back down to that $30,000 to $32,000 level. Buying there and then watching it to make sure Bitcoin holds. If Bitcoin breaks $30,000 and goes below and starts closing in the 29s, 28s, and 27s, those positions would likely be cut. Buy them at 30 to 32. If it goes down to 29, 28, I'll probably cut those buys out. Kevin Smith, member for 5 months. Hey, man, I know you're not a trendline fan, but is there anything of note to multi-year touch trend lines for December 2020 to now below XRP Bitcoin? Yeah, especially trend lines on XRP versus BTC or any type of altcoin versus BTC. No, I wouldn't say there's any substantialness to any of the trend lines. The only trend lines that have been interesting that I've seen in the last 2 years are ones that I've shown, ones that have happened with Bitcoin, which even though they are trend lines and they've reacted, it's hard to say they gave you any guidance on where to next. But it's been really interesting to see the reaction of Bitcoin off trend lines based off of the actual high. If we come down here and we draw this perfect one here, hitting here, and you come down here with a channel, it has been very impressive to see how that happened. It was perfect that ended up happening in there. Let's see. And this is on log scale, right? So you have to switch between log and linear, right? But that was perfect. That ended up happening in there. Then again, off that one particular peak, again, you come down in here and look. Boom. That was a perfect nail as well. And then come off of this peak one more time. Breaking back test, right? So it's been interesting off of there, but how do you derive anything from that when you say, oh, great, this trend has been broken, it has been back tested, now what? Right? It could just keep going sideways, right? Or in this, just keep going sideways. It doesn't necessarily mean goes up to a certain place because of it occurring, right? But either way, it's been interesting, right? Otherwise, we really just are sitting around picking all these trend lines. Is it this one? Nope, too many violations. It's not that one, right? Is it this one? well, if I modify it the way I want it to, and I let it kind of violate that stuff down in there a little bit, then yeah, it's good. And so like I'm not a fan of trend lines when we have to be subjective and we start saying, do we use wicks? Do we use only candle bodies? Do we ignore stuff? And I see just absurd trend lining on Twitter, where it's just unreal, like that people do that, and then they get hundreds of likes on it. I'm like, why, why? But yeah, but if you see any, I think the most interesting ones have been these ones from Bitcoin from just the peak, where these breaks have happened and how these back tests have happened. Those have been interesting, but I wouldn't say there was any like crazy things you could derive from it, right? But they've been interesting. But definitely not on like altcoin versus Bitcoin pairings. Otherwise, just even on USD charts, they fail so much. Definitely on the Bitcoin pairings, no way. But thanks, bro. Emperor Dingai, aka Dingus Jr., member for 5 months, says, "What's up, BCB? Thanks for the consistent pick-me-ups you give us on a daily. What would be XLM's price TA if we get a bull run? Hit the like button." Probably a 4.236 extension from the 2018 high based on its market cap. So I'd go based on the market cap. Right. I mean, that's as high as I can go, right? So, and it doesn't mean things have to stop at 4.236 extensions, but like to pick beyond that when you're in price discovery, you have nothing else to go off of outside of that. Otherwise, you have I remember in 2021, I remember how many videos and how many tweets were made about me that I was dumb for using a linear 4.236 extension when I should have been using a log-based one. And that we were supposed to go to $500 billion, not 70,000, and that I was stupid. But that's not true. So just going on a 4.236 extension, like getting beyond that, going beyond those things in price discovery, it's just a lot of guesswork beyond those. And I can't risk I can't like put serious equity into it or capital or vested interest into something beyond a 4.236 extension. But it doesn't mean it has to stop there, but like good luck beyond that. But with Stellar, I'd rather teach you how to fish than just come on here and say, "Here, $10." Because you know what happens? For the next 2 years, people are going to come on, "How's that $10 Stellar Lumen's price target looking now?" It's like, well, we're still at the exact same price we've been, but like, go learn how to measure things, right? So go pull up the market cap, go do a 4.236 extension on it, and solve the puzzle, right? But thank you, Mr. Dingai. LB Knights. Oh my gosh, I'm at an hour and 22 minutes, and I have a long ways to go. We're gonna go a little faster, guys. LB Night Snacks has been listening for over a year. I love the content and positive vibes. It's very refreshing. Any thoughts on Filecoin, or are you still cautious about the tokenomics? Yeah, so Filecoin's not in my portfolio. And I did the inflation on that. Let me pull up the inflation on Filecoin. So Filecoin doesn't make it on 2 check marks, right? So Filecoin, where are you? Okay. Filecoin has 44% inflation currently right now for the past year. It's been far worse than that. It's also had a 98.85% drawdown. Both of those numbers eliminate it for me to be able to own it. Right. And so those are all talked about in the newsletter on how the thresholds of like numbers and probabilities and stuff. The probability of Filecoin going on to set a new all-time high after having a 98.85% drawdown is we don't have a probability, because in 2018, anything that did a pull down of that magnitude, 0% of them went into all-time highs. So 98.85%, there was 0 that went into all-time highs in 2021. So Yeah. And, inflation, like, we can pull up the inflation. Not inflation, sorry, development data. I believe they're in the top 25 developers, right? Pull up sentiment. Right? My complaint of Filecoin since day one has been the inflation. And then when I went to try to talk to Matt Hamilton about inflation and he didn't know the answer, that was also a massive red flag to me. That he didn't know the answer. Like, bro, you work for Filecoin. How do you not know? And I'm like, when's it going to calm down? When's it going to chill? And he didn't even know the inflationary rate of Filecoin. So even if it had really high development data, which I'm waiting for this thing to pull up. There we go. Filecoin, where are you? Filecoin ranked number 19, right? Which isn't bad, right? It's in the top 20. Due to its inflationary rate of 44% and due to its drawdown of 98.85%, I can't own it. I'm out. The odds, based on history, the odds are stacked against it. But thank you, LB Night Snack. Philip Mann. Right? So if you're curious about those stats and what I just told you, I write newsletters about that kind of stuff, you guys. It's incredible. What a wonderful weekend you could have in Friday afternoon as you are totally checked out and not doing your work today like you're supposed to. Because who cares? Your boss sucks. And it's just much better to listen to BCB read this stuff to you. Check it out on blockchainbacker.substack.com and open your eyes. Inflation, drawdowns, dev data. There we go. What a pitch. Philip Mann had gifted a BCB membership. Philip, thank you, brother. Hot Tub Brian gifted 5. Guys, thank you very, very much. I saw Oscar, too, come across the screen just a second ago. Hot Tub Brian says, I think we need a BCB coffee mug with a picture of an Egg McMuffin in honor of Oscar. He just got a shout out from PTW. Oh, also, everyone, hit the likes. Oscar, you need to make a cartoon figure of yourself. Then we'll put it on a mug. It exists. Oh. Thank you, Hot Tub Brian. The average caveman says, Unga Bunga. You've talked about the mystery of why XLM follows XRP through the charts, but have we compared how closely related the dev data is? I don't think I've looked at it that closely to see if there's like that tight of a spread. I don't think it is, but I'll look at it. It's an idea to consider. I'll mess around with it. Thank you, man. Unfortunately, I'm at an hour and a half already in this week. I can't like start diving into new topics. It's Friday, guys. I got to set up my Christmas tree, you guys. Orsini says, BCB, how to emotionally handle missing out. Thumbs up. How do you emotionally handle missing out? Yeah, I don't usually get myself in that circumstance. I'm usually in. So when prices rise and when prices fall, it's all the exact same thing. It's all the same emotion of greed and fear. But yeah, it's about just having to wait. Like the reality of Bitcoin is it's incredibly likely it will eventually come down to $30,000 to $32,000 at some point. It's just incredibly likely. Problem is, it could go to 52 first, right? It really could. But it is just about having, we've had a year and a half, right, to get in, to get rock bottom pricing for a year and a half at this point. But a lot of charlatans have controlled the community's thought process to think otherwise. So, I don't know. When prices get up like this, right? Like I hate to say it, right? If you missed it, you missed it, man. Right? There's no making up for the past. You had over a year. If this happened and you weren't in it, you missed it. This is kind of what it is, Live to see another one another day. But for the Bitcoin trade, that's gone, right? The risk to reward on Bitcoin is so small now. Or it's like not risk, it's much higher, right? Because it's risen so much. And that's always how I am. When prices rise, I always get more nervous and more uncomfortable and more wishy-washy when prices get a lot higher than when they're low. I don't have a problem being a jerk at the bottom, saying everybody's wrong. But when we get higher, it's when I typically get more concerned. And especially because I have to be careful because of things like that. There's so many people who have gotten missed out, hanging on every word to be like, it's going to continue skyrocketing from here. My best guess is that it could get that high, right? To like $52,000. But to visualize how much has already been missed it's over, right? Like the vast majority of it has already happened. If you were listening to people telling you we're going lower and we're going to 12K and just wait, like that's all that's left. That's my bias. That's my thought. That has been missed. The downside risk is like before it gets there is like there's a lot of it. Like there's just the risk to reward is not there anymore. It's not something that I'd be chasing in any way for me personally, Bitcoin. And again, my thoughts on Bitcoin. I'm not like this big mega Bitcoin fan, but even I was buying Bitcoin, man. I knew to buy Bitcoin down in here, but not anymore. This is where the fun resides. This is where the YOLO degens are headed once they realize. So what's happening is a lot of the latecomers are going to come into Bitcoin. There's not going to be much. They're going to get bored. They're going to get a washing machine around in here and be bored. Like, this sucks. I waited for 12K this whole time. I bought 40K. And we're at 41. I've been waiting for forever. Meanwhile, I'm jealous because all these crazy people are over here killing it in the altcoin market. And then they all come flooding in. And it's just a rinse, repeat, and then we peak. And then everybody falls apart. But, yeah, you just kind of have to live for another day. Like, when you get yourself caught in the wrong cycle, right? The only thing you can do is try to break yourself from it. Right, you can't really make up for it in that moment. You just have to break. You still have to find a way to break up for it. Continuing to make that same behavior again. Of I waited for 12K the whole time, right? I've waited for 12K for a whole year, but now I have to buy. Well, that's what we said people would do. We said we'd get back up into retracement levels, and then they would capitulate back into the market. So it's like following the legitimate psychological behavior of retail investors to capitulate back into Bitcoin at this point. Just kind of what it is. It's hard. Sometimes you just gotta let things go. The Victorious G, thank you very much, brother. He says, yo, what's up, BCB? It's my 30th birthday today. I've been with you since 2020 in March. What a ride it's been. Thank you and this community for being awesome. And thank you, Hot Tub Brian, for the membership. Boom. Community helping community. Man, everybody's green in the chat. Is this subscriber only chat? TXMC just asked me that. Do you have comments allowed for all viewers or just subscribers? No. Okay, Jonathan does not subscribe. Very good. Thank you, Jonathan. He's like, I do subscribe. All right. Victorious G. Happy 30th birthday. Sorry I'm getting to you 21 minutes after your comment. You know how it goes. It's Friday, and I'm really bad at managing time in these live streams. It's a one-man show over here. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing glory. I don't even play an intro on the channel. I just play the audio because I don't know what I'm doing. But happy 30th birthday. Thank you for being here the whole ride. You have definitely been through a lot of emotional ups and downs being in here this long. I wish you the best, brother. SPAGs, XRP, HBAR, and XLM are ISO 20022 compliant rocket ship. I personally don't care about ISO 20022. I've been hearing about that for 5 years. It means nothing to me. However, XRP, HBAR, and XLM all do have good development data, good percentage drawdowns, and good inflation rates. So I'm good with the rocket ship. Not so much about the ISO 20022 stuff, though. Well, thank you, sir. Gary Benchler, the machine. Time machine equals barbecue. There's what it should have been, right in the smoker. Thank you, Gary Benchler. BK says, Grayscale Litecoin Trust is breaking out above the March 22, April 2022 resistance. I wouldn't trust those. So I actually track them. They are incredibly volatile, and I have no clue what to think of those things. Hold on. We're going to be very quick. So she said. All right. There you go. These things are nuts. Like they're very volatile. They're very all over the place. And like, look how high these percentages are. Horizon Trust, Stellar Trust. Look at these things. Percentage wise, look how huge the Stellar one was. Like from the low. 975%. I don't know what to make of them to say they're like breaking out or doing anything that would be representative of what prices will be like to come. Because these things can be pretty nuts. Here is the... let's look at this. Right, here's this move, right? Like, look at this. I gotta move on. I can't spend time on this. I gotta go. Look at this date, right? This is on June 23rd. The Stellar Lumens Trust shoots up 164%. That's on what? June what? 26th? That's just this random day right here where nothing's going on. Right? Literally nothing's going on there, and that thing fires up. And then here is the Ripple wins the lawsuit, right? Or XRP gets declared not a security right here. And that's over here. Meanwhile, Stellar Lumens is already like ripped hundreds of percentage points from here, right? The price is... Right, it's up 5.7%, but it's already up 323% on here. So I don't know, man. I don't know how to look at these products and have any type of alpha on them. You know what I mean? Something's weird about them. But thank you, BK. Emperor Dingai said, thanks, BCB. Thank you. Oscar Hernandez, there it is, gifted 5. I'm so behind, man. That was 12 minutes ago. Oscar, thank you, sir. Romano, did I miss anybody? No. All right, guys, let me know if I've missed anybody before we go. I feel bad. I know I missed XP Market the other day, and I felt bad. And I don't want to miss you guys. It's always unintentional if that ever does happen. Oh, good. Nicoin in here. New person is telling us, do not sell Lunk for now. Luna Classic. It's probably a bot, guys. Careful. Careful. The Lunk bots are out. Romano Frau, member for 4 months, says, yo, 4 months. Thanks for all the gifted memberships. BCB, you're the GOAT with the great community. Thank you very much. I cannot take any credit for the community. The community is crazy, amazing. They have a chat they all hang out in and chat in, and I can only stop in every couple of days, and they are always just going to town doing their thing, whether I'm there or not there. So you guys kind of built this yourselves. I'm just grateful to be a part of it. Eric, good job, man. Good job, Eric. All right. Dr. Ty, we need well done steak merch to send to 12Kers. Very good. Eric, man, you gifted 5 BCB members. It looks like you guys went on a rampage there. Eric, thank you very much. He had gifted 5 BCB memberships along with Gator right after with 5 of them as well. And these guys have been like nuts. So we get 5 minutes after the streams are done where we can all hang out and chat and kind of BS for about 5 minutes until YouTube kicks us. And these guys have always been hooking people up afterwards. It's been fun to watch. But again, these are like classic people, Eric and Gator. Thank you very much. Hot Tub Brian, man, you've been coming out of the woodwork like crazy, man. Have fun with the fam putting up Christmas tree. I have to go sell some tubs, but let's see if we can get Jonathan Green on the way out. I'm missing it. I'm missing what the point of that is. This is a joke that I'm not getting. I'm missing the joke. Thank you very much, Hot Tub Brian. And then he followed it up with 5 BCB memberships that were gifted. So chat just being killer set up by the community. Thank you guys very much. And we're reaching the end here, you guys. I'm at an hour and 40 minutes on a Friday. I'm ready to go celebrate Christmas, which is in 25 days, but I'll pretty much be celebrating it every day. And today is going to be the Christmas tree day, and the decorations and getting it all ready and down. And man, what a great time of the year. And this is a Christmas, right? So one thing too, as we go into December, this is specifically for the XRP community and what I had said earlier, reflecting back on the December of 2020 and how horrendous that was. That tainted the 2020 Christmas. And for a lot of us, it's almost like Christmas time brings back that memory. Right? The next Christmas of December of 2020, the next Christmas of December of 2022 brings back that horrible Christmas of 2020. That's not the case this year, guys. Celebrate it, appreciate it, enjoy it. Screw the SEC. We won. That's not something that should taint your holiday this year. So appreciate that, reflect on that, and celebrate that you're going to enjoy this holiday and you're not going to have that hanging over you. And that's my thought, man. How grateful I am that we're beyond that. You know, whatever happens, but we don't have that hanging over us anymore. All right. That is it. Happy Friday, everybody. I wish you all an absolutely wonderful weekend. Of course, do not miss your opportunity to check out bcbacker.com as it's here for a very limited time of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't miss your chance. Also, of course, check out the newsletter over there. blockchainbacker.substack.com. Links are in the description of this live stream. Otherwise, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. And of course, get your merch. Get this stuff before the holidays if you wanted to show up. Sometimes some of the stuff takes a little bit longer to ship than others. BCB, yesterday's video and Substack newsletter is full of gems. I love you. Thank you for all you do daily. Rumor has it is when BCB sells, we damp. Damp it. Gator, brother, thank you very much. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of your support. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. Looks like we did exceed 1,000. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. What are you waiting for? Subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.